Today we're reacting to a video by Manosphere Highlights Daily. It's called Women Say Men Aren't Lonely Enough. Said the loneliest generation of women in history. Manosphere out here throwing shade like always. I love it. Oh man, let's get it.
The whole performative males epidemic a couple.
I got a new microphone, but it doesn't really seem to be helping. If you haven't watched my videos and you think it's helping, let me know. But I don't think it is. I think it only costs $50. The last one costs 25 or 20. Actually, like 15. Yeah, but this costs $50. Maybe I should invest in a one that's like a few hundred. But let me know. Let's continue the video.
Of months ago.
Men are not lonely enough.
I don't think they're lonely enough.
Why men aren't lonely enough.
You have probably noticed the wave of content from women claiming men are not lonely enough. This trend is riding the back of the loneliness epidemic conversation that has been building for years. And what is interesting is that women are using male loneliness as an opportunity to vent frustration.
There's no such thing as a male loneliness epidemic. It's basically men not, you know, not giving in to what women want, and therefore men choosing to be by themselves rather than, simp to a woman that isn't really deserving. I mean, no woman's worth simping over in general. I mean, let's keep it real. Simping is bitch behavior. But let's continue the video.
Rather than examine the actual data.
But since then, we have now moved past the labubus and the matcha, and we have entered a whole new era of performative.
Also, there's plenty of men that will simp over women. It's just the men that they won't simp over them, and they don't want the men that will simp over them. So
Males, okay?
But before we get into the content, let's look at what the research actually says. Because what if I told you that loneliness is not primarily a male issue? A 2025 Pew Research Center survey found that roughly equal percentages of men and women report feeling lonely or isolated all or most of the time. The key difference was that women tend to have larger emotional support networks and are more likely to seek help from friends, family, and professionals. And a 2025 national survey from Ireland found women actually reported loneliness more frequently than men, 18% versus 11.8%. So the claim that men are uniquely lonely is overstated by the data, which means the men aren't lonely enough trend tells us something more interesting.
I mean, it's just another way for women to shame men. Like, what Kevin Samuels says. It's basically just sign language. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Like, there's no epidemic. It's just women. They are constantly looking for ways to shame men. And another way to shame men is to call us incels, to say we're lonely, say we can't get women. So, okay. Continue shaming us. We'll continue being alone, not lonely. There's a difference
About the women promoting it than it does about men. And we are going to start with this one first.
Ain't that a man?
And for some reason, they were all summons this past month. We have the pseudo-intellectual performative males with their esoteric, high-frequency topics discussion. And then we also have the gaslighting and the nice guy performative males with the not proud of it, but man enough to admit it trends this month. So, without further ado, let's talk about this new wave of performative males. Let's go. Chapter 1, the pseudo-intellectual performative man. The pseudo-intellectual performative man are the men that believe they are so smart, so intelligent, that they simply cannot have an intellectual conversation with a woman. It has been a whole discussion, a whole trend of these pseudo-intellectual men talking about how women these days are just simply too stupid. They're simply too shallow. They can't have.
I wouldn't call them stupid. I'd call the recent generation of men and women very ignorant because they do not possess the necessary skills, even like do basic math or like geography. They don't know where Mexico is. They don't know that Alaska and and why your actual states, like, I think Alaska, they think you're going out of the country. Like, it's real ignorant stuff. It's not stupid. It's because they're iPad kids, they're tablet kids. They're raised by tablets and not raised by actual teachers. So
Have an intellectual conversation, and that's why they can't get no bitches, you know?
A new category of men, apparently.
I mean, all the men she's shown so far were above average in attractiveness. So I guarantee you they could get quote unquote bitches. Her words, not mine. So once again, shaming language. Just just sign language. Just she's shaming them. It gets reviews, so do you.
The pseudo-intellectual performative male. Now you have seen her definition. Keep that definition in mind, because by the end of this section, we are going to have to ask who is actually performing here.
Here's a perfect example of exactly what I mean.
I'm going to say this in like the nicest way possible because it is just my experience dating as a male, an American male, talking to other women. And when you try to bring up a high frequency topic with an American girl compared to a girl from pretty much anywhere else in the world, it is just always much, this is not received. They just kind of disconnect. Try to talk about esoteric topics, like ancient topics, masculine, feminine topics, really anything. And American girls is like, what are you talking about? And just disconnects from the conversation. From my experience with girls from other countries, it's just like they don't. It actually goes deeper. The conversation actually continues on. It's like they actually want to tap into, in my opinion, what are more like feminine style conversations of like exploring consciousness. And I just don't get that ever. And so that's been my biggest issue with dating is I'm trying to find an American girl today. It's just like the conversations are always so boring and so surface level and so about work. And like I said, just like basically all catered around industrialism and the Industrial Revolution instead of like what actually matters on Earth.
Before we get to her response, listen carefully to what this man actually said. He is not saying women are stupid. He is not saying American women are inferior. He is describing a difference in conversational energy, that explorations feel more.
Pretty much women in other countries tend to be more receptive to what American men have to say. They're more engaging in the conversation and they are more willing to delve deep into what you enjoy, which is aka the conversation that you're presently talking about. So instead of being present in the conversation, they're like outside their body, and when they are inside their body, they tend to disassociate themselves with the conversation. That's basically what I get from what he's saying.
Genuine with women from other countries. That is a personal observation. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. You can question it. But it is a specific claim that deserves a specific response. Now watch what happens instead.
Guys, I don't know what it is about American women, but they just can't have high frequency conversations.
Basically, what she's doing is she's taking what he said and not really listening, but responding by emotion and anger and annoyance rather than responding intellectually. I mean, she's literally just repeating what he's saying, and then I'm positive that she will say something very stupid and it'll have no real substance to it.
But somehow, when I'm talking to underage Colombian girls, the conversation is just
Okay, not only did she not even like acknowledge what he said, she implied that he's speaking to underage women, which is insane, incredibly insane, and a huge leap and a huge accusation. Dear Lord. My goodness. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right.
so much better for some reason. Now, as you guys can probably guess, this man became the main character of TikTok for like a whole month, okay? We are going to be quoting him for the next 2 fiscal years, at least. Because are you being for real? Consciousness. That's the deep conversation that American women of
Okay, so she just completely ignored what the last guy said. Didn't even acknowledge the points he made. Not only did she repeat what he said without really saying anything of substance, she made an accusation, a baseless accusation, at that.
Of your age just simply cannot have with you. Here's the reason why you can't get a 23-year-old woman to talk about consciousness with you. It's because we were talking about this in 6th grade. We were talking about perspective, morality.
No, you were talking about boys, and that's about it. Talking about boys and makeup, and concerts, and Instagram reels. You weren't talking about you weren't discussing intellectual things. What? I guarantee you don't even know half the words he said or meant.
The trolley problems, like back when we found out that Santa wasn't real, back when we were debating who should have won the Wizards of Waverly Place wizard competition. We were talking about this the same time we were debating whether or not Glinda was a princess or not. I mean, it reminds me of the time when you like find out that your teacher actually has a life and family.
Women don't really debate, especially as children. They argue and then they never solve the issue. They separate themselves and they talk crap to each other, but not to each other's faces. They talk crap with their friends and the surrounding circle, and they let them know what they said about them. Women don't face issues head on. They face them at an angle. So yeah, you guys weren't having educational or deep conversations or discussions. No, I guarantee you that, because if one of you guys disagreed, the relationship was over. The friendship was over. With men, we can have a disagreement and we can still be friends. We can hash it out, either argue, maybe fight, and then be like, hey, good job, you beat me. Then we're friends, drinking a beer shortly after. Women are like that.
Outside of school, or that your mom is not just named mom. Mind-blowing shit right here.
Oh my goodness. Did you
Not only is she still stupid, she's cursing, which is very unattractive in a woman. So yeah.
catch that? He said consciousness. She heard underage Colombian girls. He said conversations feel different. She heard women are stupid. He said he connects better with women from other cultures. She heard an attack on American women. 3 completely different arguments. She spent the entire response arguing with a version of what he said, not what he actually said. And here is the line that exposes everything.
Here's the reason why you can't get a 23-year-old woman to talk about consciousness with you. It's because we were talking about this in 6th grade.
The foolishness! We talked about this in 6th grade? Okay, but that's not the point. The point is never whether you have encountered a topic before. The point is whether you are interested in exploring it. Consciousness, morality, free will, the nature of relationships. These are not topics that get resolved and retired. Philosophy departments have been revisiting the same questions for thousands of years, not because they are new, but because they are worth discussing. The fact that you heard something in 6th grade does not disqualify it from being worth exploring.
Not only are they worth discussing, it's like when you discuss something that you like or that you're interested in with someone else, that they may have a different perspective, or they may have a different viewpoint that opens up your eyes to that thing, and you can actually learn from them, and vice versa. So like it's worth having a discussion with someone that's actually interested in that topic and that's actually willing to discuss it with you, not only because it's interesting, but because they find you interesting, so therefore they want to explore that topic more with you specifically. That's how foreign women are. They're open to things you like because they like you. They may like the topic, but they also may not. But they may learn to like it because you like it. It's different. American women, they're very self-absorbed. They're very what's the word? Solipsistic. They're very egotistical. They're very narcissistic. Well, they have narcissistic traits. Being a narcissist is extremely rare, but you can have narcissistic traits without actually being a narcissist. But let's continue with the video.
Exploring at 30. That response is not intellectual confidence. That is status signaling. It is saying, I am above this conversation, while spending 3 minutes proving you cannot. actually have it. The foolishness.
Now, if you guys were wondering what he meant by high frequency feminine topics, he made a video explaining that.
We're doing another follow-up video to the main video about American women and what patriarchal topics means, because it doesn't mean talking about the patriarchy. It means talking about topics that the patriarchy has programmed into their mind. And so instead of talking about things that are innate to feminine curiosity and what feminine would think about and overall beliefs and curiosities related to women, they instead would talk about things that men have put into their mind over the course of time to be interested in and talk about, which is exactly what I'm not interested in. I don't want a wife that talks about things that men have programmed into her mind. I want a wife that is in tune to what the feminine is actually curious about and what is innate to them and their superpowers and actually curious about and what is innate to them and their superpowers, and them to utilize those things to help build up themselves, me, our family, and the environment around us. So it's a pretty simple concept.
You can disagree with his framing. Absolutely. The terminology is unusual, but listen to what he is actually asking for. A woman whose curiosity comes from within rather than from external conditioning. That is not an unreasonable thing to want in a wife, and it is certainly not a statement.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really understand what he's saying. Maybe if he explained it in more of a dumbed down way, I would understand it better. But yeah, let's continue the video.
That women should not discuss politics, but watch what she does with it.
Oh my god, he's like a walking Darman skit. You hear that, girly pops? It's not natural for us women to talk about masculine things like politics or the Industrial Revolution. We should be talking about more feminine things like building a family for this man and his feelings as he finds out about sentience.
I mean, women were naturally bred to make babies and build a family, and men were naturally bred to not to help make babies and to take care of that family. Like, you can't deny that, because men are stronger and their bodies are built to endure more, they're better at, hard jobs, and those hard jobs tend to pay more, at least back in the day before computers and all the other AI crap. So let's continue with the video.
For the first time. Man, I really wish I had the confidence of the 20-something-year-old man that just read the philosophy Wikipedia page. This dude probably just watched season 1 of Black Mirror and now he's got philosopher in his Instagram bio.
She took a nuanced point about authentic curiosity and converted it into so women should only talk about building families and feelings. That is not what he said. She substituted a more ridiculous argument because it is easier to attack. That is a straw man, and it is not a sign of intellectual engagement. It is a sign of someone more interested in scoring points than understanding a perspective. And she is about to prove exactly what kind of content women respond.
I mean, understanding the perspective of that guy doesn't get her views. It doesn't get her engagements and her comments, So, it makes sense. Like, you do what brings you income. So I definitely understand why she's doing this, why she's rage baiting, why she's being so loud and so belligerent and so annoyingly annoying. So for money, for views, engagement, etc.
to.
I mean, the real question here is like, what was he expecting these women to say on these dates when you go up to them and just start babbling about random philosophy and consciousness? I feel like he wanted us women to react like he just revealed that he's Hannah Montana or some shit.
He never once said exactly what he would discuss on those dates with American women. He just said they're not intellectually interested or engaged in the conversation. The main things that can be intellectual besides philosophy and whatever else he said.
Don't freak out. Yeah.
I read the Socrates Wikipedia page last night.
She's really good.
There it is, the male buffoon, Hollywood's favorite character. Why does this template exist? Because making him look ridiculous makes her look superior. The audience laughs. The validation loop completes.
I mean, men have always been shown as very stupid, very like bumbling idiots ever since like TV shows back in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like Homer Simpson, Ted Bundy, uh, you know, I mean, plenty of guys, plenty of TV shows. Peter Griffin. I mean, the one show that did have a very good role model was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, um, Full House. But I mean, there's more men that are seen as idiots, and they're only good for paying bills and taking care of the physical stuff around the house rather than being intellectual or having some sense of intellect at all. So it's nothing new. I mean, it's only because women are the majority. Women are the majority of people that watch television because they're home more. So they have to cater to them more than cater to men because men are out working, actually being productive. And especially back then, especially in the 70s and 80s and 90s, women were not working nearly as much as they are now. So it makes sense.
Nobody examines whether the original point had any merit. And here is the beautiful irony that ties this whole section together. She called him the pseudo-intellectual performative man, but a genuinely curious person. When confronted with a claim they disagree with, asks questions first. What do you mean by high-frequency conversations? What specifically feels different? What topics are you referring to? She asked none of those questions. She spent the entire segment building a caricature and mocking the premise. That is not intellectual curiosity. That is social commentary.
I mean, her asking questions would require her to actually care about the response, and we all know that she doesn't care about the response. She cares about taking what he said and turning it into a negative, and therefore creating content from it.
Fundamentally different things. Notice she never explores the idea. She only explores the man. That distinction is the entire point. Replace the word consciousness with fitness, religion, family values, financial philosophy, anything that requires genuine openness. The dynamic stays identical. One person presents an observation. The other constructs a reason to dismiss the person rather than engage with what they said. That is not a conversation. That is a performance. Now let's take it a step further with a PhD who is also a
She looks like a pelican.
surgeon.
Men are not lonely enough. Watch this.
I had a girlfriend before where I've been like, I knew I should leave her, but I'm like, I'm not leaving her because she'll find somebody that actually likes her.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how much I was like.
I mean, men and women both go through this, sort of, stage where they are more selfish than they should be. I mean, first of all, the guy's freaking hilarious. I mean, he says stuff half honesty, half, just to like, just to, what's the word? Just to rage bait. But anyway, plenty of women are with guys for what they can do for them, and yet they don't care about them, and they constantly cheat on them behind their back. And plenty of women, I know one specifically in my life that's using a guy for his money, but she doesn't care about him. He's like twice her age. So, I mean, men and women both do that. Acting like it's a gender thing is just ignorant and, not authentic.
Miserable, dude.
You ever have
sad to even think that shit.
One of my rebuttals to a girl leaving me was like, you've done so much work. You've done so much work on me. Like, it's like you got me ready for someone else. Like that's like not fair. Because now I'm just gonna be all this good with someone else.
Yeah.
Like you taught me so much.
Yeah, at least show up for the graduation.
Yeah, come on.
Neither of these guys cares about the women they're talking about. All they care about is what those women have done for them and who those women are to them. Theo Vaughn outright clearly does not like the person he's referring to. And this is why, by the way, a lot of us will say there are a lot of men who are in heterosexual relationships who do not like their partner. But he's talking about potentially staying with a person to make sure that she is miserable, because if she leaves him or if he leaves her, she might actually find someone who values and appreciates her. That is diabolical. I mean, Pete Davidson's not off the hook either, because what he's talking about is how a woman who has made him better, he feels doesn't have the right to leave because she has helped him. She's like somehow obligated to stay with him. What are we talking about?
Did you catch the pattern? The men are criticizing themselves. The woman is criticizing the men. The first man is saying, I was so miserable in that relationship that I stayed, not because I loved her, but because I felt she deserved better.
See, that's the thing. Men are actually willing to take accountability for their bad decisions, and most men actually understand that what they're doing is wrong, and they will not, they will not try to dodge accountability. Women will actively see what they're doing is wrong and try to find a way to blame the guy for that bad decision so that she can avoid accountability. Men and women are very different. Men are slapped throughout life. Men are forced to take accountability for their actions. Women are.
Than what I was giving. That is a man acknowledging his own inadequacy. That is self-awareness. The second man is saying, she invested so much in helping me grow that leaving felt like taking her work and giving the benefits to someone else. That is a man recognizing what someone gave him and feeling the weight of that. She heard, women owe me. She heard, I am entitled to her. That is not.
You see her reaction? She's not really listening to understand what they're saying. She's listening to react. Two very different concepts.
What either man said. Those men were talking about responsibility. She converted it into blame, and those are not the same conversation. This is why these discussions go nowhere. One side is examining themselves. The other side is examining the other side. That asymmetry never resolves.
I'm in my mid 40s. I'm single. I stopped dating a few years back.
Shocker. She's in her mid 40s. She's single. Probably childless. I swear, man, the jokes write themselves. The jokes write themselves. She focused all her life on a freaking career instead of focusing on bettering herself so she could be a good wife to some man that she genuinely loves and respects. And now she's making videos on TikTok or YouTube, you know, on berating men for content despite being a surgeon. Okay, make sense. How do you have time to do this when you're a surgeon? Surgeons work like freaking a lot.
Because of nonsense like this. And I had a conversation maybe like 2 months ago with some of the older women in my extended family, wherein they were all really trying to encourage me to try dating again. And it's not so much that I don't think there are good men. I know there are good men out there, but
The good men don't want you, and you don't deserve the good men. You don't. You'll never see the good things they do, and you'll try to find the negatives in the good things they do, despite trying to find the positives. Every mistake that man makes can be genuinely a mistake, but you'll see it as an attack towards you because you hate men. You say you don't, but you do. So you clearly hate men.
for one thing, I think many of them have already found a partner. And the few who are out there are pretty hard to find. So is it possible if I put in like a huge amount of effort that I could find someone who's not terrible? Yes, I do think it's possible.
Did you catch the assumption? The problem is not her.
Why does he need to have similar interests? Values, sure, but interests, no. Men and women are not the same. We can have different interests. Like I like anime, Pokemon, drawing. I'm sure plenty of women that are good women that would be good for me don't enjoy any of that. Doesn't mean we can't still be together. That just means that we won't be doing the same hobbies. Like what?
The problem is the available men, because nowhere in this conversation does she stop and ask, "What do I bring?" We showed Esther Perel make this observation in our previous video.
Every time I think about the list, the checklist, the boxes, this is that. I always think, do you put as much emphasis on who you want to be than who you want to find?
Modern dating has become a negotiation centered entirely around what someone wants rather than what they offer. And this clip is a textbook example. Now look at her life. She is a surgeon. That career did not happen by accident. It took years of focus, sacrifice, and delayed gratification. That deserves genuine respect. But every choice comes with trade-offs. The years spent building a career.
Oh yeah, being a surgeon is definitely respectful. It takes years and years and years of hard work. But if you think that if you want a family, then you're sacrificing your fertile years to become a doctor or a surgeon, which is the same thing, obviously. So it's not really worth it in the long run. If you want a fulfilling life, if you want to be 70 some years old with two generations of grandchildren, like it's not really worth it.
Are years that were not spent building relational skills, availability, or compatibility with a potential husband. That is not an insult. That is just how time works. Then she says she wants a man with similar values and interests. That immediately narrows the pool. And when you are looking for a highly educated, emotionally healthy, successful man in your mid-40s, she is right about one thing. A lot of those men are already taken.
But the amount of time and effort it would take for me to find that person, the amount of my peace that I would have to give up on the journey to finding that person.
Your peace has led you to making videos on YouTube berating men. Doesn't sound too peaceful to me.
Is not, at this point in my life, worth it to me. Maybe I will change my mind at some point, but right.
At some point, yeah, it'll be too late. It's damn near already too late right now. I mean, you can't have children anymore. So, I mean, you're pretty much screwed. Sorry.
Now, it just doesn't seem like a good use of my time.
And here, she accidentally answers her own question. Nobody is required to date. Nobody is required to pursue a relationship. But if you are unwilling to participate in the process, you do not get to complain about the outcome.
And there's actually a really simple solution for men who genuinely want to partner with women and are having a hard time doing so. All you have to do is treat us like people. I don't know why that's seemingly so hard.
Sure, and women should treat men like people too, not wallets, not status symbols.
Yeah, treating you like people only helps if you're like attractive to them. I mean, once again, there's plenty of men that will happily date and marry women like this, women who have attitudes. They don't care. They're just happy to be with somebody. Somebody that's, you know, not ugly. I mean, but I mean, there's plenty of men that are happy to be with women like this, any woman. Yet they want a specific type of man that every woman wants. The 6 foot plus, the guy who makes six figures, the guy who, six pack, the guy who's, extremely attractive. I mean, come on, like the list goes on and on. And that's not counting all the aches women have. Treating a woman like a person is just is disrespect. They don't want they don't want to be treated like a person. They want to be treated like a princess, like a queen, put on a throne, put on a pedestal by a certain type of man. Not the average guy who works, hard, works, a construction job. They don't want that guy.
Not checklist, not utility, people. Because the moment dating becomes a list of requirements, everybody loses. She says she wants someone who is not terrible. But the first question is not whether the men are terrible. The first question is, why would the man she wants choose her?
Isn't it kind of funny that women work? All the jobs they do are just stuff they would have done at home.
This is the guy who has to green screen the interior of a car. Like, be so fucking for real right now. Is yours just too busted, you don't want us to see it? Or is it that you can't afford?
There's a woman wearing a pound of makeup with a pound of lipstick with eyelashes, fake eyelashes, dyed hair. I mean, fake nails, probably, I mean, just fake everything. Come on. And you're obviously in your freaking 40s, belittling a man once again. I swear.
one. But continue with your little economic theories about how women shouldn't work.
If they don't want to work, their husband has to work twice as hard.
Hold up.
That's not what he said, but okay.
Which is it? Is it that women should be home or that they want to be home? Like, pick a lane, bro. I'm sorry, you can't. You don't have a car.
And also convince him that even if he is working 80 hours a week, he has to come home and do 50% of the chores.
Look, I understand. You live in your grandma's basement and you demand those dino nuggies every...
Once again, sign language. Just, why can't women just take what a guy says and respond with an intellectual argument or an intellectual, like, response without shaming him? It's not that hard. Like, I shame because I'm not arguing with this woman, but I mean, and I find it funny. But I mean, if you're going to argue with somebody, shaming only shows your lack of intelligence. And I mean, I highly doubt she's stupid. It's just easier to shame somebody.
night, but it's not 50% of the chores. It's 50% of the responsibilities that normal adults are willing to partake in.
All that man wants is cooking, cleaning, children, and shut up every once in a
Oh,
while.
so you just want a relationship with your mommy. Weird, but not surprising.
Now you get to do all these things that you like to do for your loving family who cares about you, instead of trying to do that and work for a giant corporation.
I mean, back in the day, women actually enjoyed cooking and cleaning and, being home, raising their children and not working, or at least not working, you know, full time. They might have worked when, part time when the husband was like, his hours were cut or whatever. But I mean, they weren't working religiously every single day for months or, years on end. But now women are struggling to, you know, work and be a mom because it's not meant to be, you're meant to choose. It's not meant to be about. You're not meant to be working 40, 50, 60 hours a week and be a mom. It's just it shouldn't be that way.
It's actually a way better idea.
You're just emasculated by the fact that women are more highly educated, more skilled.
Women were always more educated than men. Like statistically, women were always the ones getting better grades in school. They're always the ones that went to college more. So, I mean, if that wasn't true, then why would back in the day women be the ones homeschooling the kids if they weren't educated? That alone proves that women were highly educated. But you can't raise the next generation of children to be educated if you yourself aren't educated. Men are not emasculated by smart women. They're annoyed when you use that intellect to shame a man for not being as smart as you.
And perform better in jobs that you think men should be doing, own more houses, are not
The only jobs you do better in are jobs that don't require physical labor.
financially restrained to being with someone that treats them shitty. My final piece of advice, next time you get your little phone out and you want to record something like this, listen to this part again.
And shut up every once in a while.
And just follow your own advice.
And there it is, the full thesis revealed. Education, skills, job performance, home ownership, financial independence. These are the metrics she leads with. Status, achievement, economic position, not warmth, not curiosity, not open.
Not kindness, not gentleness, not lovingness, not, being a good cook, being a good housemaker, being a good woman in general, being modest, being demure. No, just your achievements in life. Congratulations. You've earned this degree that you have $50,000 in debt in, or for. You work in a job that you will not be contributing with towards bills. Congratulations. Or towards dates. Congrats, I guess.
Not the qualities that actually build something lasting between two people. This is the mindset, romantic consumerism, emotional capitalism. She is not addressing what the man in this clip is actually expressing. She is attacking the production value of someone's background and cataloging her credentials. And men who have sat across from that energy enough times, in enough conversations, on enough dates, in enough relationships, eventually stop showing up for it. We are talking about 60% of men who have stepped back from dating entirely, not because they think they are superior, not because foreign women are automatically better, but because somewhere they encountered someone who responded to an idea with genuine interest instead of a performance designed to establish dominance. That difference in energy is not pseudo-intellectual. That is just human. And the data on loneliness says both sides are feeling it. The only difference is one side is making videos about it, and the other side quietly stopped caring what those videos say.
Yeah, not only do men not record themselves talking to a screen, talking about how lonely they are, they, if they are truthfully lonely, they either two things. They focus on what makes them happy, or what they enjoy, and or what makes them money, or they spiral into on depression and they'll do something negative because they know that that society doesn't care about what men want. Society cares about what men can provide and not how they feel. Sadly, that's the truth. Women have many outlets for when they're sad, for when they're depressed, for when they need help. Men have very little, and when we do open up about how sad we are, about our feelings, we are shamed or just simply ignored for them. So we end up, because once again, when men do something that requires, them to actually self-delete, we actually commit to that thing and do it with, full force. We don't take pills. We don't, do something weak. We actually follow through with it. Unfortunately, we do. So, majority of men, women commit it more, but men are more successful at it. Once again, something that men are better at than women. Shocker, I know.
Listen to all, follow none.
Okay, the video's over. Once again, Mans for Highlights Daily makes insanely good content. His videos are very, very well edited. Dude makes great content. Um, his commentary is top tier. If you enjoyed my video or my response to this video, let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications for future uploads. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And let me know what you think about the audio, if it sounds any better. Not, I guess I'm screwed so I can afford a better microphone. Peace out.